The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It's rare for ordinary people like John and me to land a place like this for the summer. A colonial mansion, a family estate. I'd call it a haunted house and feel completely romantic about it, but that would be asking too much of fate. Still, I'll say it proudly. There's something strange about this place, and why else would it be so cheap, and why has it been empty so long? John laughs at me, of course, but that's marriage for you. He's as practical as they come. He has no patience for faith, an intense fear of superstition, and mocks anything you can't see, feel, or calculate. John is a doctor, and maybe, though I wouldn't say it aloud to a soul, maybe that's why I'm not getting better faster. You see, he doesn't believe I'm sick. And what can you do? If a respected doctor, your own husband, tells family and friends that there's nothing really wrong with you, just a little nervousness, maybe a touch of hysteria, what can you say? My brother, also a top physician, agrees. So I take the phosphates, or phosphites, whichever they are, and tonics, and get fresh air and exercise, and I'm absolutely forbidden to work until I'm well again. Personally, I don't agree with any of it. I think meaningful work, something exciting and new, would do me good. But what's a person to do? I did try writing anyway, in secret, but it wears me out having to be so sneaky. And if I get caught, it's a whole ordeal. Sometimes I think that if I had less opposition and more social interaction, more stimulation, I'd be better. But John insists that the worst thing I can do is think about my condition, and I'll admit it does make me feel worse. So I'll leave that alone and talk about the house. It's beautiful. Set back from the road about 3 miles from the nearest town. It reminds me of the old English estates you read about. There are hedges, walls, locked gates, and all these little cottages for the staff. The garden is stunning. I've never seen anything like it. Big and shady, full of box-bordered paths and grape-covered arbors with benches underneath. There were greenhouses, too, though they are all broken now. Some sort of legal issue, I think, disputes over inheritance. Anyway, the place has been empty for years. I know that ruins the ghost story vibe, but I don't care. There's something off about this place. I can feel it. I even told John one night under the moonlight. He said what I felt was a draft, and closed the window. Sometimes I get unreasonably angry with him. I don't think I used to be so sensitive. I blame my nerves. But John says if I give in to those feelings, I'll lose all self-control. So I make a point to stay calm, at least around him, and it leaves me completely drained. I don't like our room at all. I wanted one downstairs with roses climbing the windows and sweet old chintz curtains, but John wouldn't have it. He said it only had one window, no space for 2 beds, and no nearby room for him if he needed one. He's very attentive and loving, barely lets me move without instructions. I've got a schedule for every hour. He handles everything. I feel awful not being more grateful. He says we came here just for me, that I'm supposed to rest and get fresh air. Exercise depends on your strength, my dear, he says, and food on your appetite. But air, you can take in as much as you want. So we're staying in the nursery at the very top of the house. It's a huge, airy room, nearly the entire floor, with windows on every side. Sunshine and fresh air in abundance. I think it was first a nursery, then a playroom, and maybe even a gym. There are bars on the windows and rings in the walls. The paint and wallpaper look like they've been abused by a pack of wild boys. The wallpaper's torn in huge chunks around the bed and near the floor on the other side. I've never seen anything uglier. It's a huge garish pattern that breaks every rule of design. It's hard to follow with your eyes, chaotic enough to confuse you, bold enough to irritate you. And just when you think the curves might lead somewhere, they twist violently, collapse in on themselves, and disappear. The color is repulsive, a dirty, faded yellow scorched by time and sun. It shifts from a dull, lurid orange to a sickly shade of sulfur. No wonder the children hated it. I would too if I had to stay here long. Here comes John. I need to put this away. He hates it when I write. We've been here 2 weeks and I haven't felt like writing until now. I'm sitting by the window in this dreadful nursery and nothing's stopping me from writing except my lack of energy. John's out all day, sometimes all night, if a case is serious. I'm glad mine isn't serious, but these nervous troubles, they wear you down. John has no idea how much I really suffer. He says there's no reason for me to suffer, and that's enough for him. Of course, it's just nerves. Still, it weighs on me not to be useful. I wanted to help him, to be a comfort, a source of peace, and instead I'm a burden. No one would believe how hard it is to do even the simplest things, getting dressed, entertaining, keeping the house in order. Thankfully, Mary's wonderful with the baby. Such a sweet child. But I can't be around him, it makes me too anxious. John probably never felt nervous a day in his life. He laughs at me over the wallpaper. At first, he planned to replace it. Then he said I was letting it get the better of me, and nothing was worse for nerves than indulging strange ideas. He said that if he replaced the wallpaper, next it would be the bed, then the bars on the windows, then the stairgate, and so on. "You know this place is helping you," he said. "And really, dear, I don't want to renovate a whole house just for a 3-month rental." "Then let's stay downstairs," I said. "The rooms are so much prettier." He pulled me into his arms, called me a silly little goose, and said he'd whitewash the basement if I asked. And he's probably right about the practicality. The beds, the windows, all of it. The room's big and bright and breezy. I shouldn't complain just because of a whim. Honestly, I'm starting to like it, except for that awful wallpaper. From one window, I see the garden. The shady arbors, the wild flowers, the twisting trees. From another, I can see the bay and a little private dock. A beautiful lane runs down there from the house. I keep thinking I see people walking among the arbors, but John told me not to let my imagination run wild. He says someone like me, prone to storytelling, needs to stay grounded or risk getting worse. So I try. Sometimes I think if I could write just a little, I'd feel some relief. But I get so tired when I try. It's frustrating not having anyone to talk to about it. John says once I'm better, we'll invite Cousin Henry and Julia down for a long visit. But he says it would be like putting fireworks in my bed to have such lively people around now. I just want to get better. But I shouldn't dwell on that. This wallpaper, it knows what it's doing. There's a spot where the pattern bends like a broken neck and 2 bulging eyes stare at you upside down. I get angry looking at it. So bold, so constant. The eyes are everywhere, crawling up and down and sideways. In one spot, the pattern doesn't line up right, and the eyes misalign, one always just a little higher than the other. I've never seen so much personality in an inanimate object. But then again, even as a kid, I saw life in blank walls and plain furniture. I remember the knobs on my old dresser seemed to wink kindly at me, and one chair felt like a guardian. If the rest of the furniture turned threatening, I could hop in that chair and be safe. The furniture here isn't as bad, just mismatched. We had to bring it all up from downstairs. I guess when it was a playroom, they cleared it out. And no wonder, the place looks like it survived a hurricane of children. The wallpaper's torn in chunks. It clings like it hates to let go. The kids must have been both determined and furious. The floor's scratched, gouged, splintered. Even the plaster is dug out in spots. And the heavy bed, our only piece of furniture here, looks like it's been through a war. But I don't mind any of that, just the paper. Here comes John's sister. She's sweet and very attentive. I can't let her see me writing. She's a dedicated housekeeper, almost passionate about it. I'm convinced she thinks writing made me sick. But when she's out and I see her coming down the path, I write. One window faces the road, winding and shaded. Another looks out across the countryside, great elms and soft meadows. The wallpaper has a second hidden pattern, slightly different in shade. You can't see it clearly, only in certain light. But when the light hits just right, I swear I see a figure lurking behind the top layer. A figure that looks sulky, secretive. There's someone on the stairs. Well, the 4th of July has passed. The guests are gone and I'm completely exhausted. John thought some company would do me good, so we had Mother, Nellie, and the kids visit for a week. Of course, I didn't lift a finger. Jenny handled everything. Still, I was worn out. John says if I don't improve soon, he'll send me to Dr. Weir Mitchell this fall. But I don't want to go. I had a friend treated by him once, and she said he was just like John and my brother, only worse. Besides, it's such a hassle to travel so far. I feel like nothing is worth the effort anymore. I'm getting irritable and depressed. I cry at nothing, and I cry constantly. Of course, never when John is around, or anyone else. But when I'm alone. And I am alone a lot now. John stays in town often for serious cases, and Jenny is kind enough to leave me alone when I ask. So I walk the garden path sometimes, sit under the roses on the porch, and lie here in this room most of the time. I'm getting oddly fond of this room, maybe even because of the wallpaper. It's always on my mind. I lie here on this huge, immovable bed. It's nailed to the floor, I think, and follow the pattern for hours. It's as intense as any workout, I swear. I start in one corner where it's still intact, and for the 1,000th time I try to trace the design to its end. I know a little about design theory, and this thing doesn't follow any rule, no symmetry, repetition, or even rhythm. The pattern repeats by the panel, but otherwise it's nonsense. Each strip is its own mess of bloated, drunken flourishes, a sort of deranged Romanesque, like a wallpaper designed by someone having tremors. And yet, if you look diagonally, the lines seem to link together, sprawling off like seaweed sloshing around in chaotic waves. It even seems to go sideways, and I wear myself out trying to follow the direction. They used a horizontal strip for a border, which only makes it worse. There's one spot where it's nearly whole, and when the sunlight hits it at just the right angle, I almost imagine some kind of order, like all the shapes spinning out from a single horrible center. It's exhausting to follow. I think I'll take a nap. I don't even know why I'm writing this. I don't want to. I barely have the energy. And I know John would think it's silly, but I have to get this out somehow. It's such a relief. Though now even writing feels harder than the relief is worth. Half the time I'm sluggish and just lie around. John says I shouldn't lose my strength. He gives me cod liver oil, tonics, wine, ale, red meat, everything. Dear John. He does love me. He just hates seeing me unwell. I tried to have a serious talk with him the other day. I asked if I could visit Cousin Henry and Julia, but he said I wasn't strong enough to go, and I didn't make a strong argument. I cried before I could finish. I'm having trouble thinking clearly now. Must be the nerves. John just held me in his arms and carried me upstairs, laid me on the bed and read to me until my head ached. He called me his darling, his comfort, his whole world. He begged me to take care of myself for his sake. He said only I could help myself, that I had to use my willpower and not let my imagination run away with me. At least the baby is healthy and happy. He never had to live in this nursery. If he had, I don't know what might have happened. The thought makes me shudder. I never thanked John for keeping me up here. I think I can handle it better than a baby ever could. Of course, I never mention the wallpaper anymore. I'm too smart for that. But I still watch it. Always. There are things in that paper no one knows about. No one but me. And no one ever will. The shape behind the pattern, it's getting clearer. It's always the same shape, but there are so many of them now. It looks like a woman. A woman crouching, creeping behind the pattern. I don't like it, not one bit, and I keep thinking, maybe, just maybe, John should take me away from here. But it's so hard to talk to him about my condition. He's so confident, so loving. Still, I tried again last night. The moon was bright. It shines in all night long, just like the sun. I hate that. It creeps so slowly, always finding a way in. John was asleep and I didn't want to wake him, so I stayed quiet and watched the moonlight ripple across the wallpaper until it made my skin crawl. The figure behind it looked like it was shaking the pattern, as if trying to break free. I got up to touch the wall and see if it was really moving. When I got back, John had woken up. "What is it, sweetheart?" he asked. "Don't wander around, you'll catch cold." I decided to tell him. I said I wasn't getting better here and wished we could leave. "Darling," he said, "the lease ends in 3 weeks. I can't leave sooner. The house repairs aren't done and I've got patience. Of course, if it were truly serious, I'd take you anywhere. But you're better, even if you don't see it. I'm a doctor, love. You're gaining weight and color. Your appetite's improved. I'm less worried." "I don't weigh more," I said, "and I only eat better at night when you're here. In the morning I can barely eat at all." "Bless your heart," he said, hugging me. "You can be as sick as you like, but let's sleep now and talk tomorrow." "You won't take me away?" I asked quietly. "How can I, dear? It's just 3 more weeks. Then we'll take a nice little trip while Jenny gets the house ready. Really, love, you are getting better. Better in body, maybe, I started to say, but stopped. He sat up and looked at me with such a stern expression that I couldn't go on. My darling, he said, please, for your sake, for our child's sake, don't let these ideas take root. They're dangerous. You must trust me. I'm your husband and your doctor. So, of course, I said nothing more. We went to sleep. At least he thought I did. I stayed awake for hours trying to figure out if the front and back patterns moved separately or together. By daylight, the pattern is chaotic, disjointed. It taunts the mind. The color is awful. The pattern worse. You think you figured it out, but then it flips, rolls, kicks you in the head. It's like a nightmare. The outer design is a wild arabesque, like a fungus. Endless strings of puffed-up shapes, sprouting in twisted, ridiculous formations. That's what it looks like sometimes. There's one strange thing no one seems to notice but me. It changes with the light. When sunlight comes through the east window, I watch that first sharp beam. The pattern changes so quickly it doesn't seem real. That's why I always watch. At night, by moonlight or candlelight or lamplight, it turns into bars. The outer pattern becomes prison bars, and behind them, as clear as anything, is the woman. I didn't know what it was at first, that dim shape behind, but now I know it's a woman. In daylight, she's still. I think the pattern holds her in place. It keeps me still, too. I can stare at it for hours. I lie down constantly now. John says it's good for me. He started it, making me rest after every meal, but I don't sleep. And that's made me a liar because I don't tell them I'm awake. Oh no. In truth, I'm starting to be afraid of John. He's changed. Even Jenny gives me strange looks sometimes. I have this theory, just a hypothesis really, but what if it's the wallpaper? I've watched John when he didn't know. I've caught him looking at it. And Jenny too. I even caught her with her hand on it once. She didn't know I was in the room. When I asked as gently and calmly as I could what she was doing, she looked guilty, like I'd caught her stealing. Then she said the paper stained everything and asked why we couldn't be more careful. Sounds innocent, right? But I know she's studying it. And I won't let anyone but me figure it out. Life is more exciting now. I have something to watch, to discover. I really do eat better and stay calmer. John's happy to see me improving. He even joked that I seemed to be thriving despite the wallpaper. I just laughed along. Of course I didn't tell him the truth, that it's because of the wallpaper. He'd laugh or worse, take me away, and I can't leave, not yet. There's only a week left, that's enough. I'm feeling so much better. I don't sleep at night, but it's worth it. Watching the wallpaper change is too important. In the daylight, it's a mess, confusing, irritating. New shapes, new shades of yellow. It's the strangest yellow, like old rotten things. Not golden, but sickly. And the smell. I noticed it when we moved in. At first it was faint, but now it's everywhere. In the dining room, the hall, on the stairs, in my hair. Even when I go for a ride, I catch it behind me if I turn fast. I've spent hours trying to figure out what it smells like. It's subtle, not bad at first, but strong and constant. In this damp weather, it's awful. I wake at night to find it hovering over me. I even thought about burning the house down just to stop the smell. But I'm used to it now. It smells like the color. A yellow smell. There's a strange smudge low on the wall just above the baseboard. A long, even streak that goes all the way around the room, behind every piece of furniture except the bed. It looks like someone rubbed it over and over, the same path again and again, round and round and round. It makes me dizzy to think about it. But last night I finally discovered something. After so many nights watching, I know now. The front pattern moves, and no wonder. The woman behind it, she shakes it. Sometimes I think there are many women. Other times just one. She creeps quickly, and her creeping ripples the entire design. In the brighter spots, she goes still. But in the darker ones, she grabs the bars and shakes them with all her strength. She's always trying to break out. But she can't. No one could. That pattern strangles. It binds and twists and turns you upside down. That's why it has so many heads, I think. They get out, but the pattern chokes them, snaps their necks, turns their eyes white. If the heads were hidden or cut off, it wouldn't be so disturbing. I think that woman escapes in the daytime, and I'll tell you something in confidence. I have seen her. I see her from every window in this room. It's always the same woman, I know it is. She's creeping. Most women don't creep by daylight, but she does. She creeps up and down the long shaded lane. I see her in the grape arbors, creeping along the garden paths. I watch her on the road beneath the trees. She moves slowly, always crouched low. When a carriage comes, she hides under the blackberry bushes. I don't blame her. It must be awful to be caught creeping in daylight. I always lock the door when I creep during the day. I can't at night, John would suspect. And he's so strange lately. I don't want to provoke him. I wish he'd take another room. Not just because of him, but because I don't want anyone else to free that woman but me. Sometimes I wonder if I could see her from all the windows at once. I spin around quickly, but I can only look out of one at a time. She might be creeping faster than I can turn. I've watched her out in the open fields, moving like a cloud's shadow across the grass in a strong wind. If only I could strip away that top layer of paper, just tear it off and free her. I'm going to try, little by little. I've figured out something else too, but I'm not ready to say what it is. Not yet. I've learned not to trust people with secrets. Only 2 days left before we leave, and I think John is starting to notice. I don't like the look he gives me. I heard him asking Jenny medical questions. She said I sleep a lot during the day. John knows I don't sleep much at night, even though I act like I do. He asked me all kinds of things lately. Tried to sound gentle, kind, as if I don't see through it. Still, I can't blame him. He's been sleeping in this room too for 3 months. It only fascinates me, but I'm sure it's affecting them, even if they don't admit it. Tomorrow is the last day, and John's staying in town overnight. Jenny offered to sleep in my room, how sneaky. But I told her I'd rest better alone. That was smart of me because I won't be alone at all. As soon as the moonlight poured in and the woman started shaking the pattern again, I jumped up to help her. She pulled, I pulled. We shook and tore and scraped. By morning, we'd stripped off yards of the paper. We peeled it halfway around the room, as high as my head. And when the sun came back and that terrible pattern laughed at me, I swore I'd finish the job today. We leave tomorrow. The movers are bringing furniture down to restore the house. Jenny saw the damage and looked shocked. I told her cheerfully I did it just to spite the vicious paper. She laughed, said she wouldn't mind helping, but warned me not to overdo it. She gave herself away right then. But I'm here, and no one touches this wallpaper but me. Not while I'm alive. She tried to get me out of the room. It was obvious. But I said it was so calm and clean now I'd rather lie down and rest. Told her not to wake me for dinner. I'd call when I was ready. Now she's gone. The servants are gone. The furniture is gone. Except for the bed frame nailed to the floor. The old canvas mattress still on it. We're sleeping downstairs tonight, taking the boat tomorrow. But I like this room now. It's empty, bare, peaceful. The children must have torn through here like wild animals. This bed frame is chewed and clawed all over. But I'm not worried about that anymore. I have work to do. I've locked the door and tossed the key down into the front path under a plantain leaf. I don't want to go out. I don't want anyone coming in. Not until John gets back. I want to surprise him. I've hidden a rope in here. Even Jenny didn't find it. If that woman gets out and tries to run, I'll catch her. Although, I just remembered I can't reach far without something to stand on. The bed won't budge. I tried to lift and push it until I was sore. I got so mad I bit a chunk off the corner. It hurt my teeth. So I stood on the floor and tore down everything I could reach. It sticks terribly, and the pattern enjoys it. All those strangled heads and bulging eyes and creeping shapes, it's like they laugh at me. I'm getting so angry I might do something crazy. Jumping out the window would be great exercise, but the bars are too strong. Besides, I wouldn't actually do that. Of course not. That would be improper. People might misunderstand. I don't even like to look out the windows now. There are too many creeping women. They move so fast. I wonder if they all came from this wallpaper too. But I'm safe now. I've tied myself up tight with my rope. You won't catch me crawling along the garden path. At night, I'll have to slip back behind the pattern again. That's the hard part. I like being free. Crouching on this clean floor, creeping around the room, shoulders brushing the wall, following that streak where the paper's been rubbed away. It fits me just right. Oh, there's John at the door, but he can't come in. He's yelling. Beating on the door, now he's calling for an axe. It'd be a shame to break down such a nice door. John, dear, I say sweetly. The key's under the plantain leaf by the front steps. He goes quiet. Then I hear him leave. Soon he finds it. He unlocks the door and walks in. He stops short, right there in the doorway. What is it? He cries. For God's sake, what are you doing? I just keep creeping, calmly, smoothly, along the wall, over the floor. I look at him over my shoulder. I've finally gotten out, I tell him. In spite of you, in spite of Jenny. And I've torn most of the paper, so you can't put me back. Why did he faint? I don't know, but he did, right in my path, by the wall. So now I have to creep over him every time.